Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Super Pole for round 10 of the North American Grand Prix GT2 Championship, coming to you live from Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And before we get any further, let me introduce my partner tonight, Brad Maris, who's with me every week. Brad, welcome to the program.
It's absolutely great to be here, Al. I'm so looking forward to this one. I've been postulating a little bit about some of the practice times we've been seeing here early on the server, and I am very excited about this upcoming race, Al. I think we're going to have some great action in this one. A lot of things to cover. It's going to be a great night for part one of our season finale.
Yes, we were postulating, actually, before we went live. Brad and myself were discussing some of these times up near the front, and wow, these guys in the 18s now dipping down into the 17s. So it looks like some of these guys in the 18s are running qualifying race fuel for tonight. Because, I mean, looking back at, well, season 19, it was a dry race. The fast lap of that race was a 19 flat. So it looks like these guys have picked up the pace in season 20.
I think they have picked up the pace, and I think we're going to see a new record time set here in qualifying. Assume we have good conditions for it, Al. There's 4 or 5 guys there, actually. I think with a shot, any one of them could possibly pick up that new track record tonight. You heard it here first.
Well, I have a feeling we could possibly see someone dip down into the 16s, but that would be quite a lap if we do see that happen. So for those of you joining us here tonight for the first time for a Super Pole event, and you're not familiar with the way the event works, well, let me fill you in. Super Pole is at NAGP for GT1 and GT2 bookend basically the first and last race of the season. So the first and last race of the season are 2-week events for rounds 1 and 10. First week is an open qualifying session and or single lap qualifying based on the size of the track and the turnout. Following the qualifying format, whether it's single lap or the open session, the top 2 qualifiers will guarantee their starting positions next week in the feature race. In GT2 it's 2 hours, in GT1 it's a 3-hour feature. So regardless of where those guys finish in the qualifying race, they're guaranteed to start 1 and 2 the following week. Now, following the qualifying session, there's a 30-minute sprint race. No pit stops involved. That 30-minute qualifying race will decide the starting positions for the rest of the field. And I'll tell you what, Brad, some of these races we've seen in the past have been pretty dang exciting.
They have, particularly on the GT2 side, and since we run this track for our season finale every season, we've certainly seen quite a few fireworks here as well. Of course, it was very memorable last season there. We had some wet conditions for those guys. If I'm not mistaken, Andres Prieto took that qualifying race, so it was a fun time out there last season. But always the guys are a little amped up. Always willing to take a few extra little chances here or there because they want to improve that starting position for the feature event. It's just a great time. I'm just so looking forward to it.
We have moved to the qualifying session. I should also remind everybody that qualifying here at Spa is done at night. So it's going to be it's a 45-minute session. So these guys, 45-minute open session. So these guys will get plenty of time to, if they haven't practiced already in the dark, they will have plenty of time to figure the track out at night, where to brake, etc.
And as we begin,
go ahead.
As we begin the qualifying session too, Al, you know, it's actually a little cold out there. So 67 degrees on that track and 56 in the air around it, and boy, that could hold the times up a little bit from what we might ordinarily be seeing. So perhaps a little cold in the tires there for these guys.
So while we So while the guys go out here on their outlap, let's take a quick look at the track map here tonight. So looking at 19 corners. We're running the old bus stop version. This layout is this map is a newer map minus a bus stop, but we'll be starting from the downhill leading up to Eau Rouge through the Kemmel Straight, Lacombe. The exit of Lacombe is a critical corner. Pouhon, Blanchimont, and getting through the bus stop is huge here. Brad, you're more familiar with. You do a lot. You're much better at this track than I am, so I think you'd be best served telling the people how to best get around this circuit.
Yeah, well, it's maybe not as good as I would personally like it, but I think I'm starting to get a few things figured out on this track finally after a few years running around this place consistently. Look, in general, it's all about a rouge around this place. You have to be able to get up a rouge every time without incident and being comfortable getting up there. So that's always the first thing to do when you come to Spa, is to make sure you're getting the car up a rouge well. You do definitely want to carry good speed down that Kemmel Straight. So important, but the real time gained or lost around this place is there in Sector 2 through some of those long sweeping corners, Pouhon, down through Fagnes, and of course Stavelot, some of these extremely important corners. And the fact of the matter is that downforce cars will have an advantage in that sector, but if you do get some of these power cars going up very well through a rouge and fast down that straight, might not matter so much, because if you can stay ahead of a guy or perhaps pick up a position coming up there, you can stay ahead of somebody who's a little faster in through that sector too. So very interesting track, a good mix, brings a lot of cars with different characteristics into play around this place. A lot of fun. The guys have a lot of experience here too.
So we're on board with Chris Moses following through this first lap on board, going through the no-name left here at Spa, about to enter Pouhon. It was a bit of a butcher shop.
Wide.
Yeah, it was a bit of a butcher shop for Moses going through Lacombe, but it's his first time out.
It's always a tough adjustment. In our mid-season classic there in GT1, or here for our season finale in GT2, it's always a couple laps worth of adjustment qualifying in the dark. These guys will figure out their braking points and get back up on the wheel here shortly.
So this exit here, it's critical to have the car set out right. You want to be full throttle through there. Very easy to run wide. You get on that rumble strip on the left, that car tends to get pulled into the wall, but sounds like Moses is flat through Blanchimont. Now approaching the bus stop. It's got a little bit of traffic up ahead. Shouldn't be too bad though.
Yeah, Chris Moses traditionally very good in the third sector around Spa in GT1 or GT2, and that Mercedes will be a good car in this third sector as well. So things looking good there for Chris Moses here, at least the last third of this lap.
So Moses going through La Source, or as we call it here at NAGP, La Circus, as we have had several incidents there in the past. That name was dubbed by Thomas Schubeck, naming that corner La Circus. So thanks to Schubeck for that. So Moses to provisional pole. We're on board with Canola now. He's about to complete his lap in the Lamborghini.
Yeah, and not a great opening salvo for Chris Moses there with that 218.9. I expect our feature or qualifying race pace to be somewhere around there. So Chris Moses, some work to do.
Well, early on, provisionally Andres Prieto in P2 with a 2:18.9, so I don't think those times are going to hold up near the front once these guys get their act together here. But
and as I
go ahead, Brett.
Sorry, Al. As I see some of these times rolling in, and particularly by some of the guys who are turning them in, I think that the track temperatures really are keeping some of the heat from the tires. I don't think that they are getting grip. They're going to have to make some adjustments, I think, and once they do, then they will start to drop those times.
So Prieto thoroughly in the mix for the Drivers' Championship title. He's actually got his the leader right ahead of him, Alex White, but Prieto is going to need a bit of a miracle if he wants to walk away with the championship. He's pretty much going to have to score some points here tonight and try and score max points in the feature race next week, and White is going to have to score very low and or DNF at some point, so which is pretty unlikely at the rate he's been going this season.
It is unlikely, and you know Andres has given it one heck of a run here late in this season trying to overtake Alex White, but Alex White really kind of stuck a dagger in his liver there, kind of from behind at Bathurst last week. Alex White picked up that win. Andres slipped back a little bit in that race, so advantage Alex White here for the season GT2 championship.
Yeah, that was a big win, and key moment in that race was Thiago, who was leading the first stint by a few seconds over White, and Prieto, he was up big in the second split, but lost a bunch of time in the last sector. But going back to the race last week, Canola was leading, and well, he had a bit of a moment into the pit lane. He spun the car. Took him a little while to get the car turned around as he headed into the pits. That allowed White to get by, take over the lead, and never looked back. Ended the race 4 seconds up on Canola. So big win for White, and points lost for Prieto, making it even harder for him to these next two races.
Yeah, well, here toward the top of our provisional pole time, Thiago Canola, in fact, speak of the devil, has gone to the top of that timing sheet with a 2:18.1. So advantage Thiago Canola at the moment.
On board now with Jaime Moore, currently in P9 in the Porsche 997.
You know, I think it was David Poole or someone, I can't remember, really proved that the... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes, it really proved that the Porsche can generate some pretty good straight line speed just by nailing a Rouge. I remember I think it was David Poole in that Porsche who found a way to get up a Rouge. He drove around here one season and just was blasting cars up down the Kemmel Straight. So for a non-power car, you can get up a Rouge, you can get some good speed going down Kemmel.
As we ride along now with Greg Myers. Greg currently in 22nd in the 458. So Greg, we've mentioned him many times in our broadcasts in the past. Not necessarily a great qualifier, but a great finisher in the races. So we'll ride along with Greg here, see where he ends up. One of the only guys out on a hot lap at the moment.
Yeah, Moses is coming around to wrap one up here. He made a mistake going off a little bit of Blanchimont, but did keep it on track. Made better his time. And indeed, Chris Moses does retain the second spot with a 2:18.5.
So you gotta wonder, is the cold weather really affecting these times? Because practice, we saw a few guys in the 17s. These cold temps appear to be slowing these guys down a bit.
I don't think there's any question. I tell you what else is going on here. A lot of these guys are setting up for a single lap run, which is fine. However, I don't think the tires are really getting scrubbed in enough really on a single lap, Al. I think they might want to consider actually putting on a second lap of fuel and running 2 timed laps at a time.
Well, that's a great point, Brad. It can take a while to get heat into the tires here at Spa, especially in this weather. So perhaps that's something we'll see from some of these guys as Greg improves to P17. Rodrigo Triana currently in the 20th position. Teammate of Jaime Moore. Making his approach to Blanchimont. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll give you a quick update here. Timing and scoring, Juan Monroy flashed up there provisionally in second place. So Juan Monroy, good lap for second.
Now that's a big story this season, has been Monroy's performance. He's got his first pole, and he's been, as Triana gets off the pace there, but going back to Monroy, he really has been qualifying really well and finishing well as well.
Yeah, well, it reflects his team's points. So Team Columbia well out in front in that team classification. He's a big part of it.
As we ride along with Chuck Carter in the Lambo. Chuck currently in 22nd. Take a quick look at the times. Tiago Canola continues to lead with a 28-1, 18-3. I'm sorry, yeah, 18-1, 18-3 for Monroy, and an 18-5 for Moses. Parsons jumped up to P4. Gooden in 5th. So Chuck about a second and change off in Sector 1 as he approaches Pujon. Makes his way out. There's so many great corners here at Spa. It's just, you know, when sometimes on the forums you'll see posts like what are your favorite corners and whatnot. There's like 4 or 5 of them here that could make any top 10 list.
Yeah, for sure, and it's a test around the whole track. So you might find yourself, okay, I got the first sector, I'm where I want to be in the first sector. Oh, okay, boy, I really nailed that second sector, and all of a sudden you start to get through the bus stop in La Source to hold your lap together, you know. So the track keeps coming at you, and it puts pressure on you on every corner, and so many of them are very difficult, and so many of them are also very different. So it's a test around the whole place, and that's why it's so great.
Chuck looking good here. Didn't lose much time in that middle sector. See how he ends his lap. So Chuck will clock in to P20. So he picks up a couple 3 spots. Back up front, Canola about to complete a lap. Tiago took pole here season 17, I think, or 16 in the Lamborghini with a 17-1. He does not improve here, however. Remains at first.
Yeah, but you know what? He's continuing on for another timed lap, so he is running 2 timed laps here, and I think that's a good idea. And you know what? Looking at his laps, it looks like actually he ran 2 timed laps the first time out as well. So it was a 19.3 and an 18.1 on his second lap, where he's showing now.
Chris Moses is about to cross the stripe. No improvement for Moses. In fact, he's dropped down a position of 4 as Preto has moved up to the 3rd spot behind his teammate Monroy.
Yeah, Chris Moses also only running single laps, but now he is continuing on with another hot lap here. So Chris Moses now on 2 timed laps in a row as we have 30 minutes left to go in this qualifying session.
Our championship leader, Alex White, as it stands now, running in P8. He's about to, he's going to be starting on a hot lap shortly.
Yeah, Alex White did not show staggering pace there in the week of practice or in our early practice here before this event tonight. So Alex White maybe coming not coming to grips with that Z4 here at Spa yet.
Well, White is carrying a pretty significant amount of weight going into tonight's race. As you ride along with him. I'll tell you what that is right now, as White is carrying 80, I actually knew it, but I wanted to make sure, 80 kilograms of Success Ballast. Preto at 60. White Gooden's carrying 30, Canola 20, Parsons 10, and Marty Uren is carrying actually 60. With 10 for Success Ballast and 50 kilograms of penalty weight.
Oh, Tiago Canola has just dropped the time here to a 2:17.5, Al.
So there you go. Canola finding his rhythm. Let's see if the track's improving. Its temp's gone up a little bit, 72-degree track temp. So White was about 0.6 off in Sector 1. White in the Z4. Now White's team, WWRL7, is really going to have to put together a performance this week and next week, and if they want to challenge for that team championship, as Team Columbia is currently leading that that classification. White 1.3 seconds off in Sector 2.
Yeah, and you know, looking at the sector times here, Tiago Canola does have 2/10 on the entire field. He's actually up by quite a bit on those guys. Oh, and Aaron Parsons, yeah. So, but what I was looking at was Aaron Parsons, and some of the other guys actually are pretty close to him through Sector 2. Aaron Parsons finally hit the last sector, goes to P2.
So Parsons, tough result last week at Bathurst, suffered a DNF as. White's going to clock in. No improvement. Remains P8. So Canola currently in the garage. We're right on board here with Parsons, who's continuing on with his lap. Go ahead, Brad.
No, I was just going to say the medical personnel were able to get to Aaron Parsons and get him out of that wrecked Audi. So no permanent damage. Aaron is okay to race this week.
That was we didn't catch it on the broadcast last week, but it was quite the shunt. He got ejected from the racetrack. No fans were injured, and luckily Parsons was able to walk away from the incident. He's had some spectacular crashes at Spa here as well, so hopefully he can avoid. I think he's actually left this circuit also. I think it was a GT1 in a flaming Keep.
Several times Aaron Parsons has also been ejected at a Rouge. Before Aaron was the Spa master, he was the Rouge crashing and disaster master.
Yeah, it did take him. It's amazing because he's so, he's so spot on. He's so good, but he had his struggles here for a while, but he's really turned it around for quite some time. So,
yeah, the road to the mid-season race win, Classic and GT1 generally goes through Aaron Parsons. No question about it. great around this place.
So Parsons does not improve. David Poole has jumped up to the 5th position.
I tell you, these guys are smart. These guys all jumped on and started doing 2-lap timed runs. Boy, it's really smart. They didn't play around. They went right away and get those tires nice and worn in.
Well, I'll tell you what, we just caught Chris Moses completing his lap, and he's improved to 0.05 of a second off Canola's provisional pole time. So Moses has jumped himself up to the 2nd spot.
Yeah, great time, Chris Moses. Another one of those guys close to Tiago there in the 2nd sector. So he needed only to get through Blanchimont, basically. I saw him keep going off there. He finally looks like he held it on track and got through that 3rd sector. Nice lap. Temperature does not is continuing not to help these guys out on track, though. Still holding at that 72 degrees out there on track.
So it looks like Moses might have been balked a little bit in this lap. He was 0.3 off in the 1st sector. Let's see if he can make up any of that time in the middle part of this track. 23 minutes to go here in qualifying. This session's quickly winding down.
Yeah, here in about another 10 minutes or so, it's going to be getting to crunch time for guys that haven't gotten their best lap in yet. So it's not too much longer here before some of the guys out there might be getting desperate.
It's such a long out lap too, so these guys, there's a lot of time left, but really not much time to get laps in. So White has jumped up to the 7th position. Looks like him and his teammate Rally are up to something.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Alex needs something.
So Wyatt Gooden in the 8th spot. Running down the order here, Montgomery Jr. up to P10. So Salem putting in a good qualifying performance for him tonight. Really had a great race going for himself at Bathurst, but got caught up in an incident late and was shoved off the track and ended up suffering some damage. But back at it tonight. Joe LaCour in 11th.
Yeah, Ian Jolicoeur, I don't think has gotten his best lap yet, but as usual, we'll probably see him in the last lap or two jump up around the 5th spot.
Well, I'll tell you what, that Joe LaCour is a bit of a sleeper here tonight. He has won some races here at Spa, and he's very good here, so we're definitely going to have to keep our eye on him as he's on an out lap. But Joe LaCour is definitely going to be somebody to watch here.
Yeah, and he's in a good car for the track as well.
So David Rowley currently in 12th. Jaime Moore is running in 13th. Hamilton putting on a good qualifying performance in 14th. Mayfield in 15th. Mayfield had a great run last week at Bathurst as well. Got put back a few positions after the pit stops, but still had a great run nonetheless. Currently a second off here in the first split. Ooh, taking a little wide through Pujon. Was able to wrangle that BMW back onto the track. But definitely not going to help him. Schubeck at 16th.
I saw that.
Schubeck looking pretty good in the Mercedes tonight. Marty Uran 17th. John Houston running in 18th. Houston's starting to become a guy that doesn't always qualify that well, but has a tendency to work his way up through the field during the races and finish quite well.
Very cautious on those opening laps. Make sure he doesn't cause himself any trouble and settles into a nice pace. John Houston, a very good season for him, all things being equal.
Brian Story in the Aston, currently in the 19th spot. Chuck Carter remains in 20th. John Watson, 21st. Anybody know what the over-under is on Watson tonight? We're just kidding, John. It's a short race.
Maybe our viewers will chime in.
Yeah, it's a short race. Maybe he'll make it through. Maybe he'll make it to 12 laps.
Now, your broadcast still up?
Hold on.
So just in case we are still going, we're going to continue coverage here at Spa.
Well, looks like it's still up to me. Stand by.
So, just in case, again, our continuing coverage of Spa here in our timed qualifying session with